Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our preview for This Is Us Season 6, Episode 9. This is titled The Hill. This is the middle portion of our epic, emotional Big Three trilogy where things will change forever.
Yeah, this episode is all about Kate, so for all you fans of Kate out there, this one's gonna be for you. Although, after looking at this promo, I feel like if you are really here for Kate and Toby and you are hoping that they are going to find a way to turn this around, this might not be the episode for you. It's not looking amazing.
This episode's gonna make me sad. I'm just gonna say that right now.
That promo made me sad. That moment of back in the day with Kate and Toby sitting down, she's got her head on his shoulder. I
Yeah.
was like, oh.
I've got so many emotions going into this, but before we try to break down what some of these emotions are, why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel? We do This Is Us reviews every single week, alongside previews, coverage of a lot of other great shows, including Snowfall, Killing Eve, The Blacklist, and a whole lot more.
Also, follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV, for more sort of just fun pictures of our life.
Okay, this is the biggest sort of hot take that I have about the Kate and Toby storyline. I don't actually like that we have as much information as we do about where their story is going. Like, I'm okay with knowing they're going to get divorced down the road, but it's like we have a specific timeline on it because of those flash forwards to Kate's second wedding. We have this information about this traumatic incident that happens from, Jack Damon in the future. And I want to at least live in a world where maybe they just realize they're not right for each other. They move on. There's like a shred of happiness. I'm just worried about like the specific trauma that we're about to experience.
Yeah, no, I agree. We do know a little too much. We know she's getting, they're getting divorced. She's going to marry someone else. We know the day that it all fell apart was over this smoker and something that happened to their son. And we already saw, 2 episodes ago that they were already starting to kind of fight over baby Jack a little bit, over what he's eating and, is he healthy? And these types of discussions have already been coming up. And it's just how much mystery is really left here if we know how, like, we've already seen it all sort of disintegrating. We know it's going to be about this smoker, is going to be sort of the last straws seemingly, and everything that's sort of going on in the future. We don't know how her and Philip end up getting together, sure, but we know a lot about how Kate and Toby are falling apart. And it looks like from this promo, we're going to see one of the major sticking points finally come to a head, which is that Toby made a choice to take a job out of town. Kate is still back where she is with the house, with her job, with the kids. And Toby is traveling multiple times, a month. He's gone 3 days a week. He's home on the weekends, and that's about it.
It's a very tenuous situation that has been constructed here. We have said time and time again, Toby needs to be looking for a job at home closer to Kate. We still don't have any evidence that that is happening. And instead, Kate's going to visit Toby and see this world that Toby has sort of created for himself. But I think the challenge in all of this is that in sort of this universe of Toby, Kate doesn't really exist. And when she does exist, she exists as sort of like this, floating head that pops up on a screen that he's talking to. Like, she's not really a part of this world. And in that sense, Toby's kind of been living these two different lives. And how do those lives intersect and collide, or do they not at all? And I'm worried it's the second.
Yeah, here's the thing. Okay, so we saw in the promo, Kate is out visiting him. He looks really excited. They're traveling around, taking pictures and all the, smiling. My worry is after all this time there, that she's going to really look at their relationship, and this trip is going to show her how far they've actually pulled apart and how different their lifestyles are. She's going to see how he's, bachelor living out there on his own. We saw the end of that promo where where they first kind of started to get together, where they were both battling weight issues and they understood each other on that level, on many levels. And since his weight loss journey, things have started to change a little bit. I mean, really, it's this I'm taking a job somewhere
Yeah.
else. And I'm not saying that there aren't marriages that work. There's tons of marriages that work where one of the spouses have to go somewhere else to work. But to that, I would say those marriages probably have a better
Yeah.
foundation than what is going on here. Their marriage was already really rocky at best. And other marriages, had a solid foundation. So when one spouse had to go and work somewhere else, it was okay because their marriage was like a 10 out of 10. And that's not the case here.
I think another thing that the show hasn't really addressed all that much this season is that we saw that Toby really wanted to work and that it gave him a sense of value and all that, and I think that's very important.
Yes.
However, it was never established that Toby 100% needed this specific job in order for their family to survive. We saw Kevin offering to help them, and we know it's not always an easy thing to accept help, but it could have been a situation where Toby just took some other job in the interim while he found his perfect job closer to home, or he was willing to accept help from Kevin. He could have done another thing. And what I'm saying here is I hope there's not some monologue where Toby says in this upcoming episode, I had to take this job. We had no other choice, because you did have another choice. You just made this specific choice.
I think it's tough because for Toby, he doesn't want to feel like he's taking a handout. And
Yeah, I
and
get
I
that.
I understand. And on top of it, that he's getting help from a family member, which can get really murky, even though Kevin's like, I have tons of money. Why wouldn't I help people? It's hard at that point for Toby, who feels, he's been out of work a long time. He feels like he's unable to contribute to the family financially. And we know that that is not the only way to contribute to a
Yes.
family. But for him, and I understand where he's coming from with this because I'm a lot like this too. My job gives me value and it makes me feel like I have a sense of purpose. Like I'm a person who, when it's time for me to retire, that word doesn't exist. I'm just going to keep on going and working till the end of time because it makes me feel good about myself. I feel good after a good day's work.
Mhm.
And Toby seems to feel that way as well. My biggest question is, okay, if this is his dream job, or at least in his field that's going to make him feel good about himself, okay. It's away from home 3 times a week, okay. Why isn't he then either looking for a job closer to home in the interim while he's still working this job? Because eventually a job like this, or even better,
Yeah.
will come up closer to home. Or how come they haven't been having these conversations of, listen, this is extremely important to me to be at this job. I need my family here with me. I understand that working at this music school is extremely important to you, but there are music schools out here. Could you consider taking a music job out here and just take a look, because maybe you'll find something that you will even like better than what you're doing.
I think you're describing what is the fundamental issue here, that these two are not really communicating. And because they're not really communicating, we don't really even necessarily understand the importance of X, Y, and Z in specific terms as viewers. Like, we know that Toby obviously really values this job, but what about the other possibilities we've just discussed? They haven't communicated with us enough about those this season. And obviously these two haven't communicated enough with each other about them. So I think it's gonna get real tough because of that.
It just kind of makes me wonder if the two of them had already given up on their marriage before he was like, I'm going to take this job. Because these conversations are not happening. Neither of them seem to really be really itching to get back to each other. And it's not about the kids. I think both of them are fully invested in their kids, but the marriage itself, it just feels like nobody's really pushing to be, hey, I miss our relationship. Let's really get back together. That's why I think this episode where Kate is finally saying, I want to come out there. I want to see what you have going on out there. I want to see what your life is like out there. Let me take a look is the first sort of step that I've seen where it's one of them is kind of like looking to make things maybe a little bit more permanent. Because I don't think she's only going out there for a visit. I think she really is going out there to take a look.
Yeah. I think I think she knows that this current situation isn't tenable, and so I think she absolutely wants to find some sort of way, no matter what it is, to rectify it. Like, the thing that keeps sticking to me is just that line at the end of the promo that's so sad to me of "I miss the old Toby," and I think the struggle there is that there are parts of the old Toby that still exist, but that specific old Toby, he's just not there anymore. This is a different person than the person who Kate met and fell in love with, and all those emotions that are there. And I think she has to sort of figure out, is this version of Toby and this life that we built, is this what I actually want for my future? And this is something that seemed to be a big recurring theme in a lot of these, trilogy episodes we're getting right now on the other side of Rebecca telling them to go and live their lives and not hold anything back. We saw Kevin sort of do this and make some big choices. And I think to justify this episode, after the Kevin episode, Kate needs to make some really big choices about her life.
Yeah, because that's sort of been my feeling with Kate and Toby's relationship is that Toby has changed. And I'm not saying he's changed in like, in all the bad ways. He hasn't.
Yeah.
He's just grown into a different person.
Yeah.
And I'm not only talking about his weight loss. I'm talking about a lot of stuff within him of how he's feeling and growing as a bit of a different person. And Kate hasn't been growing as a different person. She does feel very similar to when we first met her. She's felt like she's just kind of stuck. She met Toby. He was very similar to her. They were together. Everything was going good. And it gave her the ability to stay where she is and not really change. And then Toby kind of flipped the script and was like, you know what? I'm starting to feel like I want to make some changes, and in my work, in my life, with my body, with my, mental health, I want to make some changes, and I'm going to. It just really is, these two are on different paths where he's changing and going over here and she's just not coming with him.
I hope that they really paint the picture in that way in this episode, because I don't want to see This Is Us go down a road here where it's just Toby's the bad guy or Kate's the bad person.
No.
Like, neither one of them are terrible for their marriage not working out. Like, I think they both have flaws, but everybody has flaws. Everybody is human. And I think fundamentally they are both good people who tried to make this relationship work, who still love each other, who I believe still care about each other deeply, no matter what happens there. I refuse to believe anything else. And it's just, this is a situation that was a part of their lives that they had to look at and make the decision that was right for them.
No, I think absolutely Kate and Toby will continue to be family after divorce. I mean, we've seen 10 years in the future at Rebecca's deathbed, Toby is there.
Yeah.
And so I feel like as the father of her children, that because their marriage is just kind of unraveling, not because they're not good people or one person's being really terrible to the other, they are just growing apart. This is a type of divorce or end of marriage that we do not see almost ever on TV, but I think a lot of people go through. So good for This Is Us for pushing this storyline, because I think there's a lot of people that can really relate to this.
Just give us hope for both characters on the other side of all of this. I mean, we already know that Rebecca's on her deathbed. I don't want the end of this show to be just the sad parade. I know that life has sad moments, but it has hopeful moments too. So let's just have a mix of that.
And I'm hoping that they're not going to just have Toby in the future where he's just all work and all alone and he made the wrong choice and he's just, a sad guy. No. Because we've seen him battle depression pretty bad on this show. And that's something, I don't think any of us want to see that for him.
No, none of us do. So let's Let's hope for good things for him down the road.
Yeah.
Let's hope that Kate and Philip end up being happy. And of
Yeah.
course, we will be back to discuss episode 9 after it airs. So hit that subscribe button so you do not miss that. And we will see you here next time.